But this is what God wanted to do. So when God wants to do something, we allow Him to do. Because when we allow Him to do, is what He wants to give unto us through His word. And so the wives, the children, has set the trend now for what is coming. Because our theme this morning is the absent present Father. That is our theme this morning. Ek het gedink Terren vat die hele preek oor vanoggend. Dit is net ek kan mos maar wat die vroue gevra het om die woord te bring. But we thank God for the growth. And we thank God for the alignment that we are in. And so we are so blessed as a church because we are always in alignment. So know that God has His ordinances, this ordinances. He has the interest at heart. That is why we could be in alignment. This is a ministry God wants people to know, to be reckoned with, because He erected this ministry. And so this morning, to the dads, I think everybody might think, why the absent present father? Because jy is mos present. Jy het mos hier eie hol, jy sê die ou mense altyd gesê jy het melkkoop of melkkoop en hulle het nie teruggekom nie. Right? But you see, today in our communities, we are so focused. Everywhere you read, everywhere they talk about the young men and women that turns out to be drug addicts or that turns out failures in life. We say there isn't a father figure. But we also have those where the father figure is there and they have gone astray. Why? Because the fathers is there in the house, but they're absent. Yes, everybody will always say mothers is important. Fathers are most important. God has placed you to be the head of your home. And so this morning we come to Sister Terren het nou klaar die gedeelte gegee van what is a father. Like God the Father is the most important father. And then she gave another piece of what is an earthly father. So I just want to latch on to that part. A father is a person who is there for their child, who picks them up, who tends to them, and who guides them safely through each day, building a path of significant moments in the life of their child. Money, you're responsible to build that path of significant moments. Like Jordan could stand here this morning. There was an issue, but out of the issue you could say, I've got your back. Because you said you got mine. It's a significant moment. It might seem to you like nothing, or it's too small. But that is what our children need to build themselves. So, building a path of significant moments in the life of your children help build their character with confidence and self-esteem. And through this, we are raising self-sufficient children to grow into self-sufficient adults in every meaning of the word. If it is not done here, then there are problems with the adults as well. If you think there's a problem, and why are you so sad, Jade? And Jade says to her daddy, yeah, but I have an issue, and I failed my dance. Okay, Jade, here's 100 rand. That is not what Jade needs. Jade needs the father to listen and to tell her, or to have the conversation about the situation. Because now he must guide her. Because her way, she thought, didn't work. So now she needs the guidance of her father. Not the 100 rand, need guidance. En ek sê julle, die kinders, as hulle adults is, hulle is 'n probleem vir hulle self. So it is work. It is your work as a father. And that, en ja, julle kyk nou so maar, Logan gister sê, my prik, dis weer, hulle gaan weer vir ons oor die knikkels gooi. This is what it is. This is what God wants to do. So, let's look at the word. Timothy 5 verse 8 says. 1 Timothy 5 verse 8. As jy pas, haal julle Bybels uit. 1 Timothy 5 verse 8. God is giving tools today. Amen. So you need to take these tools with you. Because we celebrate you today, but we also have to remind you of what your position is within your family. We've got too many children being destroyed, too many young adults doesn't know what to do with their emotions and all of this stuff. It's time we put the work in. So 1 Timothy 5 verse 8 says, in the NIV Bible, it says, anyone who does not provide for their relatives, and especially for their own household, has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. Hey, let me decide what the hero is so unfair than the leave so lucky. There is work. And it was our home. We must work for God. We must work for Christ so we can go to heaven. Take a job. You've got a full-on job. And I mean the core is you have denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever when you do not provide for your family. Die Here praat hard volgens my. Hy praat hard met almal van ons. And so the meaning of an absent father is, it's not just a physical void that someone was not present in their lives, but it also refers to cases which the father, although physically present, either does not know how or doesn't want to take on his role. Either does not know how or do not want to. You see, God places you guys. He sets examples in front of you. That's why there's people in your path. Right? Ek sal nou sien wat die ander pa doen. Maar ek luister die man as ek kan. Ek word te verstaan maar. Hy tel eers die phone op. Is dit die phone nie? And he listens to the child. And he wants to hear how the child say. And when your child talks to you, jy must nie dan van man praat klaar. Ek goed, dan kyk hier op Facebook. How the message say, put your phone down and listen to your child. When spending time with your child, spend the time. I think we had this was now a few weeks ago. Hy julle gebid het en julle het vir die Here gesê julle vat hy responsibility van julle kinders, die pastor gepraat. En dat, so this is just a reminder of what God has given already. Maar vanoggend remind jy ons net weer, if you do not attend to your household, you have denied him. Come on. You have denied him. So moenie kyk na die mense in die wêreld nie. Ja, wanneer die mense kyk, tot gaan dit daaroor. You have denied Christ if you do not attend. So I just want to take you to a piece. It's just a small piece of before we get to this book. I'm the author of this book. I'm one of the authors of this book. And here's a chapter in. Julle belangstel is 100 rand koop dit is vir mans en vrouens. There's lots of stories. And you know, this was women writing this book. But if you read everybody's story, the absence of the father played a tremendous role. Why these women were broken. Why these women are divorced. Why these women were abused. And so, this book is not just for women. It's for men also. Because we all go through things of the past. So this book was written in order to give hope to the hopeless. So a small piece in my chapter is about my childhood in my home. A father that was there, but he was absent. A father who controlled when do you laugh, when you do not laugh, when don't you laugh. You know, as old as I am today, I don't even know how the man's voice sounds. As old as I am today. He has passed on his 40 years ago. But I do not know how his voice sounds. Because he never interacted with us. His interest was never with us. And due to this, you were in a home where the mother wasn't also allowed to show affection to her children. So now as a child, I went through a journey in my life. And it was a difficult journey because the father was absent. But later in life, I also learned that he did not know how to. Because he was also left as a child. The times when we blamed him, he wasn't a good father. When we were in our adult lives, now we find out he did not know how. He provided, he was a home. Sy eerste mense wat die TV het en dan over ons alles. But that was it. And that is where it also comes in as a father. I just want to remind you, men, while a house is a building where people live, a home is where a family lives. A home is where a family lives. Kyk, jy kan nou vir jou 3 million huis koop. Dit beteken niks as dit net 'n huis is. It must be a home, especially for your children. And so through this absence of this father and having all these restrictions, you know, we could only laugh and play when he was gone. And my mother would wait and see when he's coming. So speel, lag en aan, and if he's coming, and then she would say he's coming, and then everybody sits there. And this is my past. But you know, men practice that still today. When they walk in, the children go to scared to do. And die pa kon is jy is still yes, man. I understand you had a good day, but you know, I'm very tired. I worked. That is your job. You have to provide for your children. It is your job to provide for your children. But it's also your job to give every provision that they need. Right? So what they're saying is that is nie 'n gedeelte want die boek is vir 'n ander is 'n tweede gedeelte. So we want to focus today just on the father's responsibilities today. So your child is a child. while you want to help them become successful adults, let them explore, learn, and grow, and be kids. Jy kan jou kinders laat explore al die goedes. But let them be kids. En soms as die kinders explore, dink ons of ons kinders van 6 tot 8 jaar oud, nee, hulle is quite mature. Hulle kan hulle self help. Ek hoef nie vir hulle dit te doen. Ek hoef nie saam met hulle te gaan en kyk, het jy jou ore reg gewas, het jy jou tande geborsel, het jy jou daai nie. Hulle het nie daai nodig, hulle is quite mature. Yes, they want to explore, to brush their own teeth and do their own things. But you have to stand there. You have to stand by your kids. Because you need to see if everything is done right. Daar gaan hy tyd kom, want jy nie hoef alles te hulle te loop. But you must let them do it. That is where the exploring comes in. You must let your child pick up something when they mess there. But they also don't make it like a, hey, tel my goed daar so, check my sagemos. Maak het 'n game man. Doen dit 'n interaction pa en kind. So you teach your child. We tend to do things so seriously with our children. Alles moet so and so is. I think you young men and women today, parents, you have much more going for you than we have. We never had the materials and the resources. Ons het net gevolg ons ons ma's en pa's gedoen. Het sy kom weer gas, ek klap jou nou. Ons het net gevolg. But you don't have to. God gives you all of this. And in saying this, along with your love and support is what they need most. Right? So your child is a child while you want to help them become successful adults. Let them explore, learn, grow, and be kids. And that along with your love and support is what they need most. Remember, a father's involvement matters. And the earlier the better. Physical presence is part of the equation of fatherhood. Physical presence is part of it. In many homes, the father is still on the scene, and in a technical sense, you're on the scene technically, but emotionally, you're absent. Guys, between your heart now. Emotionally, you're absent. Technically, you are there, but emotionally, you're absent. En die pa sê die ding as die ma se werk om te sien dat die kind se skoolwerk gedoen word. As die ma se werk om te sien dat die kind lees of fiets tyd. As die nee. As a partnership. Let's do it together. So that the child can see the interest and learn and grow to become self-sufficient. So with this, it may leave some fathers feeling, we're not here to say you were bad father and you were good father. None of us know if we are good enough parents. Remember, when your child was born, there wasn't a book given to you. This is the Leah, this is what she's going to do. She's not going to eat this, she's not going to do that. There's no book like that. So as we attend to our children, we also learn. We also grow with them. Because you try to figure out what does the child like, what doesn't he like, but stick to something. Do not confuse your child with, I want that now, and it's 5 minutes, but I didn't want that, I want that now. That doesn't work. You're creating a whole confused child. You need to teach your child. Because that is what the children want. They need guidance. This is what they need. They need guidance and direction. So when it comes to be the intentions, the best intentions of the Father, it must be sufficient. Your intention of teaching your child must be sufficient physically, emotionally, and spiritually. So, an active, positive presence in the lives of your children, they will be able to understand the heart of God Himself. Sien julle weet die Christen story? But God gives you this. But those in the world don't get this. So they do not know if they're doing right or wrong. But you see how this walk with Christ is. You think this is just my walk with Christ and it's a personal thing in it. There's so many things in it. So, Hebrews 13 verse 5 says, I will never leave you and I will never forsake you. This is what God says to us. And this is what we says to us. And so, we will come to the, I just want to do the section on the daughters, what they need from their fathers, and the section of the sons. Because we always read about the fathers need to be there to be a healthy role in their sons' lives. The daughters need it as well, mostly. So tomorrow, they will be able to choose the right person in their lives. Because I would like to have a husband like my daddy. That is how it's supposed to be. Right? So daddies, be careful how you present yourself in front of your children. As jy gewoonweg jou vrou klap, los maar hy saak af nou, né? En die Here is besig hier. Because this, your daughter is going to look for that. Because she thinks it's normal. So be careful of how we present ourselves in front of our children. So, a dad's relationship with his daughter is no less important than his son. A young girl's sense of self is closely tied to a relationship with her father. Are you hearing? A young girl's sense of self, it is linked with a relationship with her father. So that is why it is critical that dads validate their daughters throughout their childhood. How do they do that? By spending quality time with them one-on-one. I remember when we had the father-daughter date night. I think it's such a beautiful night. I still can't get it out of my head. It was a one-on-one father and daughter date night. It was so beautiful because the girls dressed up and the dads dressed up and they were having dinner with each other, connecting with each other. This was dad showing their daughters, this is the way to be treated. Nie die oudjie of jou paas van vis en chips en sit ons maar gewoon hier die pijs man. Jy kan die vis en chips koop. Of as jy 2 kratte en maak 'n tafeltjie.
Het lees, ja.
Wat jy raai? Din môre geld het jy. So, but this is the type of things that we must teach our daughters. When they look for a man, but our daddy has to set the example. This is the type, because this is the way you should be treated. And that. So, when we spend quality time, we give appropriate physical attention, even during the teen years. And we must all, dads always ask your daughters questions. Speak to them, niet bang wees. You must have that bond with your daughters. You must be in sync with each other. Your daughter shouldn't be scared. And sometimes nou, dan is het maar so die paas is so. Hulle weet nou van die period story, nou kry die dokter, sê die dokter, jy kan ook op my pads speel. O, jy raak het wel, wat is jy my soets? Kom nie, you were there. En dan is het ander dag, en hy was dochters en sê, Daddy, you must buy pants across the road. Dan gaan die pa loop. Daddy, can you buy me some panties? Dan gaan die panties so, it's your daughter. Because when she goes in a relationship and she gets married, she must be free to ask her husband to do this. There must be that relationship. So, in your marriage, you will also learn that your wife sometimes wants you to listen to her when she is frustrated, rather than having you jump in and try to solve the problem. The same is true for your daughter. She wants to be heard. She wants to be understood. There will be times to offer guidance and feedback, but there will be many other items when it's important to simply listen. Luister. Is a skill, listening is a skill. You will soon discover that you can learn a lot from your daughter's female perspective on various issues. So in that, when you listen to her, you are affirming her. As net soos met jou vrou. Ons kan sien as sy met 'n halwe oor luister. Sy gaan nou as dit as sy ons, sy luister nie vir my nie. Sy sê ja, maar wat het ek nou gesê? Because as a woman, as a wife, I feel at that time you're not affirming me when you do not listen to me. Listening is a skill. I've got this thing. I don't like people to speak and I don't listen to them. Even if I don't have to answer now. Or even if they don't want to answer. But we have to listen. Moenie mense, ek sê altyd, moenie mense se mond vir 'n koffie vat nie. Praat hulle hele hart uit, sy het eers 3/4 van my geluister. En Debbie klaar elke oor dieselfde. Yeah, you do have your times where you will tell a person, okay, jy moet nie weer die storie vertel, het nou ek die storie vertel, maar sy het nou because you remember, because you listen. So when the person starts, as ek begin, nee, dis dieselfde storie. Wag, dis dieselfde storie. Right? And the same with your children. You'll just take them back and say, but you had this. We talked about this. Did you do what I told you? Did you even try what I told you? You see? So listening is a skill. So affirm your daughters through this. Sodat hulle môre mansmense kan kry wat vir hulle luister. Né? En nie dat hulle mal verlief raak op mense wat eens vir hulle luister nie. Because they must know to choose the right partners in life. Even to choose the right friends in life. Because with this, your daughters is going to learn to make the right choices with the type of friends they also want in their lives. So, now we come to the sons. So now we come to the sons. A father's role in the life of his son is very important. Fathers are far more than just second adults in their home. Remember? You're not the second adult in your home. Jy's eerste. Die Here het gesê, sy is die hoof van jou huis. Dis die tweede adult. Because we've got this blended family thing, man. Ne? Nou het ek miskien nou, ek het my kind, right? Nou my kind is nou ouer. Nou kom jy met jou jongere kinders. Nou jy weet nie eintlik nie, maar wat ek sê gaan as die ma. Doesn't work like that. Ne? And that's the struggle in blended families where fathers do not know how to play their roles. They do not know when. But we must allow them to play their roles. And not just in blended families, in normal families. Right? Because jy is die hoof van die huis en jy moet jou mond oopmaak. Jy moet so puppet sit en sê ja en amen vir almal nie, vir alles nie. I was at the time wat ek vir my man gesê het, Jo, as ek my broer getroud is, sy sê net ja. Hulle sê dit nie. Of sê jy wil nie ek moet gaan nie. You know, it's and with the children it becomes the same. Because now you become the person that, like Pastor said this morning, I realize I shouldn't be the friend. I should be the father. Even when there's situations, we will sort it out. Maar ons sê dit halfway. Want ek wil mos nou nie die willen wees nie. So ek gaan dit halfway gooi, dat jy moet dit vang. The rule is, listen, this is the consequence of it. And because you my child, I say no. What certain situation is where you must make the decision. Ja, ons sê ons kinders is adults, hulle is teens en alles time. But listen, if your child lives in your home, that's what ek rule gee, dat jy 25 moet jy uit, want ek kan nie met groot mense bly. You can only live with children. Because how do I now have a clash here with the adult? Saying, kykie, jy kan nie gaan nie. Siobhan came back, sy is baie van haar weer weg. Want die vrou sê, as jy nie 9 o'clock in die huis is, die deur toe en die is 28 jaar oud. This is my home.
My rules.
My rules. If you want to be a child in my home, you must follow the rules. If you want to be an adult, you go live your own life. So with certain issues, you need to stay and make the decisions for your children. Jy gaan sê ja, it's your choice with certain things. And certain things, kyk jy as jy 'n person, this is the consequence of it. So I'm saying no. Maybe next time. Right? So that is the part as fathers. So involved fathers provide protection and support and be the male role models that you are supposed to be. You have a parenting style that is significantly different from what a mother does. And that is important for a healthy child development. Ons is baie emotional beings, vrouens. Ons dink uit emotion. Maar mensmense is mos different. Right? Hulle sal nou die hele ding analyse dit so. So they don't make decisions on emotion. So we need you to make that decision. And ons is emotional. Soos my sister gesê toe John sê gaan toe raak sy lam, maar my hele been is lam. Understand? Because she's the mother. Hele been is lam. Maar dis hele tyd voel sy nou, moet ek hier. But that's out of emotion. You see? So I would rather out of emotion also allow my child to go do something, but I know the consequence of it. Because I don't want to look as the villain. See, Pastor, I'm the Jordan's a man. It's what happens but that is why where you come in, we need that part in that. So if you want your sons to grow up to be responsible and to respect women and demonstrate the Christ-like qualities of a servant leader, it's up to you to set the standard. Right? Julle is die trendsetters nou. It's up to you to set the standard. And again, you don't have to be perfect in this regard. It is better if you allow your son to see your mess ups. It's better to allow your sons to see your mess up sometimes. And if you own your mistakes. Hy's mos 'n swaar saakie, né? Was wil hy eintlik sê ek was verkeerd nie. En daai nie. Especially for your scenes. That he was wrong. Nou gaan hy daai probleme gehad aan die begin. He worked hard with it. He knows what I'm talking about. But you need to do that so that they can see and learn also. Because you're not perfect. So it's better to allow your son to see your mess up and sometimes to own your mistakes. But don't underestimate the singular importance of your influence on him. Toe Laili klein gewees het, hy loop Laili agter sy pa as ons sit, hy doen alles wat sy pa doen. Sy pa was baie lief gewees met 'n piesem en 'n skoppie. Hy loop Laili ook met 'n piesem en 'n skoppie. So, there were certain times when Logan would do some actions also when he would do that. And then one day I said to him when he was angry and he did something to say, it's important what you do in front of your child. Because I looked at this child and he follows you. He does everything you do. So be careful, Robert. Be careful what you do in front of your sons. That baby is also developing. So he does what he sees. You said last week, you had an argument with your mother on phone. And then you said to me, and then you saw Zion, phone was laying there and he was like the phone. See how they develop. They see what you do. So, the importance of your influence on your son. So remember what the family needs from dad is different from what it needs from mom. You are unique and indispensable. Dads, you are unique and indispensable.
That's right.
Remember that. As easy môre kom besluite te maak. Dat as ek en my vrou nou ons marriage en goed week is so lekker uit vir my nie. Dat ek genoeg gehad het. Don't forget about that child. Don't forget the scar you're gonna leave with that child. It's easy om te cop out mos. En jy dink jy lewe hy differently treat. But it's gonna come back to you. And you're gonna leave the scars. As a Christian, we say we want to be Christ-like. Then we want to walk Christ-like. So, our society view manhood, how we view manhood, is severely broken. As much as a policeman dat nie kan sal verklaar. It's broken. And that is the absence of an involved father. I've got a nephew that is 30 years old, 29, 30, still on drugs from 50. He had a present father in the home who was absent. So you see the impact. The father said, ek weet, liever om ka gaan jy. So jy hom uit. Ek weet, ek kan hom nie uitsort nie. Where's your role? That child is 30. He's got sons. But he's still lost. And the mother is gone. So your role is very important. Your role is very important in your child's life. So we must be careful how we set the trend. Because now there's 2 sons, and now that one doesn't even know how to lead them. So from him is 1. So if the family don't fill in here, then those 2 is going to follow.
Right.
That's just the Christmas one. So A generation of boys has grown up not knowing what it means to be men. In that void, numerous problems have emerged, whether in form of toxic masculinity, or of men who simply can't or won't launch into the real world. They won't step up, they won't commit, and they have no idea how to support themselves, let alone a wife or a family. A son needs his dad to show him how it's done. A son needs his dad to show him how it's done. Right? Voor ons weer besluit te maak, Sister Megan, hy rolmodel moet daar Bisland so staan. Right? En nou moet jy hy rol speel. Albei kante. You see, if we make decisions on certain things in our life, in relationships, die man sê, ek sal daar wees. Maar as die nie daar is hulle weg. Hulle is weg. Hulle het nie 'n commitment gemaak. So hulle is weg. So, ons moet careful wees wat ons doen. So, it is important how we deal with the issue, not completely, but then you want a different result. It's important how we deal with the issues, but we want a different result. We want a successful child, but we don't put the work in. We just say, hey, Here sê toch al slim nou. En jy sê, rammel net goed af. Did you check her intelligence? Did you sit with her to see waar lek die kind of whatever? Sometimes some children, when they're young, hulle is baie talkative. Selena, baie praat. I go. Sy sing, alles. But as parents, they know when she's going to start school, you need to get into it. En som kinders praat hulle uit hulle goed is uit. En dan, wanneer hy real results moet kom, gaan niks aan. Because we as parents think, okay, you can do it on your own because Jay's clever genoeg. This is baie clever. It's nothing clever. You need to put in the work with your children. That is what it is. Okay, so the family needs dads to be balanced, disciplined, with grace. We know from scripture that the Lord disciplines one he loves. In Hebrews 12 verse 6. As fathers, we should do the same. Some dads, especially if they're primary breadwinners, want to be fun and games when they're at home, leaving it up to the mom to be the enforcer, the bad cop. En dis 'n example, dis was also example aan my broertjies. Vra vir hom, ek het by 'n punt gekom te sê ek vir hom, ek sien nogal, ek kan nogal lyk soos die dinges in die verhaal hierso. En jy praat net niks, sê net ja vir alles, as jy die cool dad. Ja, as hulle die cool dad en ons is die bad cops. And then I decided no more. I'm stepping out. Want ek sien nie, hulle, kyk jy, hulle was lekker jong met hulle pa. En ek is niet die, ek moet met die einde versie kom en ek moet nie. En toe vind ek, maar ek bly dan nou heel toe die badkop as hy net nie, niks. Maar as hy die kamer sê, ja, hulle moet nie kyk. Ja, jy kan maar gaan. Ek sal haar handel. So, laat ons stop playing the bad cop. En dan hulle responsibilities vat Jolien. Ophou hy vat van te leer. En jy moet discipline alleen en hy moet het vat. En sy, op die einde van die dag kyk vir jou en dan sê sy, I want my daddy. That is how they play you. Stop being the bad cop, mothers. Give it to them. It's their responsibility also. So the family actually need to see dad apply rules consistently. rules consistently. Vandag nie, môre is ek nie lus nie. And we know some of us lacked. And now we get this and we're going to try. Maar as dit 'n bietjie heavy ook gaan. En dan voel jy nou net nie opgee nie. Onthou jy wil suksesvol kinders hê. Right? You want self-sufficient children. Jy wil nie emotional wreck sê en die en die. Ja, hulle gaan die challenges gaan. Ja, hulle gaan baie emotion inkom. Maar hulle moet ook kan weet om hulle self te help. Op 'n punt. Right? Soos ek sê, moenie die R100 gee. En dit gaan nie werk nie. Hulle eet die R100 uit. En hulle het niks geleer nie. So, don't let your noble desires create. Don't let the noble desires create quality fun time with your kids turn into an excuse not to discipline them also. En ons kan dit so verkeerd ook vat. Maar as jy gesê ons fun time het, Debbie, los die kind. Laat sy maar nou daai bakbrika van jou ma. En ons speel mos. Nee, die discipline moet daar bly. So there's always a balance. You see the balance. So they need you as well as their mom to help them understand that there are consequences for certain actions and behaviors at every age and stage. Moenie sê het begin by 10 of 12 nie. Begin by Zion. As jy 12 begin, as dit verby my ou my broer. Ek julle sê, if you don't start doing it from that age. So, don't be scared to discipline your children, fathers. Even if you haven't done it before, and you leave here today and you start today. Start today. Take ownership. They're yours. So, take heart in the knowledge that for the moment, all discipline seems painful rather than pleasant. But later, it yields the peaceful fruit of righteousness to those who have been trained by it. Parenting is not a worldly thing. God has given it, right? On the other hand, if life was just about keeping the rules, God would squash every one of us into dust. As die liewe net gegaan het oor, ons sou net hê. That is why the old has passed when he died on the cross for the new. Because in the Old Testament, people died. If they committed this or that, people died. And because God is a loving Father, He didn't want it to do this. He didn't want it to do this, so He came as man and died on the cross. So He can give us grace. Right? So, He's not just a God of justice, He's a God of grace and mercy and forgiveness. As dads, our families need to see us model the same spirit with our kids when they fall short of the mark and even after they've been openly defiant. So, the delicate balance between discipline and grace will look different depending on the ages and personalities of the children. Some kids need a bit more structure and black and white and thinking in order to stay on track. Some children need that. They need to be given the black and the white. They need to be given the structure in black and white so that they can move forward. Others will thrive more when mercy is extended rather than justice. Others thrive more, other kids thrive more if mercy is extended than justice. Now you see where that part comes in. the child that has already been disciplined, the balance was there. When he does something, right? It's not going to be the same punishment as before. Because he has learned. Because before you even come, he will apologize. Because he already knows. So he needs the mercy and not the justice. See, then it becomes easier. So the more quality time you spend with your kids, the better understanding you'll have on when to exercise discipline and when to extend grace. It's never an either or proposition. It's never either or. But you will learn the exercise of discipline and when to extend grace. Same thing I talked about now. Right? So, and the other main thing is husbands, dads, your children needs to see you love your wives. It's important. Ek bring dit nie in want it's important. One of the best ways a man can create a strong spiritual foundation in the home is to love his wife. You don't need to say openstel promises.
Go to school.
En ons kan oorgelowig raak om met in die woord en in die Here en dan vergiet ons, dan is het soos die vrou, sy is maar net daar want sy moet haar chores doen. But there's no love shown. En die kinders sien die. Die kinders sien die. Nee? Hulle weet in sekere kerke, ek dink as die kerk, when the men speak, the wife must go sit there. They don't have a voice. Jesus never died on the cross for that. He died for all of us. Right? So, your kids will be more likely to grow up to have healthy relationships outside the home if you will model it for them while they're still captive. While they are a captivating audience. So, this is a prime area where we identify values are caught more than taught. Values are caught more than taught. You don't even have to teach them. You see how they pick it up? The values? You don't even have to teach them. Right? Because as ek kyk my skoonseuns, né? As ek nou kyk van, as ek vir hulle aankyk, dan dink ek, ja, my dogters het regtig manne gesoek en gekry soos hulle pa. Hulle pa lyk mos om skoon te maak. Hulle pa lyk om kos te maak. Hulle pa het almal hy vir hulle gedoen. So they got husbands now where loves to do that. They say, I'm going to do. It's differently. But because there's other things that other husbands do. But the one thing they have learned and they wanted is that their husbands must value them. Because this is what their dad believed. So it's important how you value your wife.